Hi everybody, we'll be beginning in just a moment. Just before we begin, if you could just let me know, those of you who are here early, thank you very much, that you can see my screen, which is a picture of a fire hose and a picture of a lady shrugging her shoulders, and that you can hear me. If you just type yes into the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel, just to let me know that you can in fact hear me and you can see that picture on the screen. If you just let me know that, that'd be great. So that when we begin on time, thank you, thanks very much for that. When we begin on time, we can, people can hear. But occasionally we can end up with dropout. Okay, excellent. We'll be beginning in just a moment. I'm just got to add a couple of things down here. That's in there. And we'll go to here. Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for those of you that are here on time. We will begin the presentation. That's not what I want open at this point in time. We want this one open. That's it. Good. And we want that one open as well. No, let's try this one. Got it. Okay. All right. Today's presentation is called The New Patient Acquisition Machine, How to Get More New Patients Than You Ever Thought Was Possible in Any Economic Climate. But it really should be called, sorry, just put that up a little. It really should be called How to Get More New Patients and Successfully Grow Your Dental Practice and Retake Control of Your Life, Your Future, and Your Destiny, even during difficult economic times. This, in the next 45 minutes, you'll discover how to successfully grow your dental practice without working longer hours. I'm also going to show you how to have an endless stream of new patients ready to begin treatment with you immediately. And you'll also learn how to have all those wonderful new patients stay, pay, and refer more people just like them, so that you can start transforming your practice immediately, increasing revenue and profits, and growing its long-term value, so that when the time comes, you'll be able to sell it for what it's truly worth and retire when you want to the lifestyle of your dreams. And I'll tell you, 95% of dentists can't retire at the age of 65 on the same income that they're earning as a dentist, because they haven't put the money away or they haven't earned it. And that's a tragedy. Imagine getting to age 65 and still having to keep working. So this presentation is for you if you're frustrated about working longer hours and getting to the end of the week and never having enough money. It's also for you if you're worried that you can't afford the lifestyle choices that you thought you'd always be able to have when you signed up for this profession. And it's for you if you truly want to be able to live where you want, send your children to school where you want, and retire when you want to, where you want to, and do all the things that you want to in that retirement. Imagine if you could wave a magic wand and it's Sunday morning, and while enjoying some valuable quality family time, you chat about the week at work just gone, and you feel a smile spread across your face as you recall the many successes for your dental practice, and you feel inspired because your appointment schedule is productive and it is solidly booked for weeks ahead. You're also feeling confident because your patients know your dentistry and your services are truly world class. You feel satisfied knowing that all your clients want what you provide and the timing is good for them. And you feel contented because your patients know your fees and they can afford you. Yes, all this is possible. Take, for example, Dr. Kristina Cain from Refresh Dental Spa in Brisbane. Kristina said, I started using David as my coach in 2017 and my practice collections grew 240% during the following 24 months. David appreciates the everyday workload and stress faced by dentists who actually want to grow their businesses. On a personal level, David helped me to aim higher as a professional and as an individual. So who is Dr. David Moffet? Who am I really? I practiced dentistry for 35 years. For 28 of those, I owned and ran my own very successful dental practice, and I sold it and then was working for a friend trying to figure out whether to start another practice, buy a practice, or just build an associateship in my friend's practice. And then things changed. And then I got arthritis in my hands. And so all those choices went out the window and I retired myself from clinical dentistry because I just couldn't do the dentistry that I had been used to be doing. But because I'd had such a successful practice and I'd sold it for a very healthy price, dentists kept asking me, David, how did you do that? David, can you run your eye over what I'm doing and just give me some advice? And so it seemed the logical thing for me to do was to transition into the practice management side of dentistry and to help dentists who want to build practices as good or if not better than the practice that I built. It was kind of my way of giving back to the profession. Here's a photo of my family taken a couple of years ago now, ticking off a bucket list moment for me, and that was seeing Paul McCartney in concert. That's my son Thomas, my daughter Kate, my wife Jane, and me at Acer Arena, I think it is, in Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, where we saw Paul McCartney undercover, but we also saw him open air that year in Melbourne as well. Really was great to take my kids to see, one of the four Beatles, which is the music that I grew up with. As I said, I had a very successful practice, a very successful dental practice. Here's me with one of my patients, Mr. Fred Sargent, who was a Lancaster bomber crew member in Great Britain in World War II. And, if you go to the dictionary and look up the word hero, sure there's a picture of Fred Sargent and people like him there as heroes. Certainly no picture of Les Boyd, that's for sure. But back to my practice, let me tell you this, my practice grew. I bought it in 1987. It grew for the first 5 years and then it flatlined for 4 years. And people in the industry kept telling me, David, you're doing okay. They said, your practice is doing double what the average practice is doing. You're doing okay, they said, but I thought there had to be more. And I actually thought that the answer was to venture into a non-dental business. So I thought I was going to put my dental practice up for sale, and so I did. And here's what happened. While trying to sell my dental practice, 3 different dentists who came to look at buying my practice told me I had a very good practice, and then they each went away and individually they each went and purchased their own practices or set up their own practices right there and then in my town, in Parramatta, in Western Sydney, and became my direct competitors with a lot of the information that I shared to them while I thought they were interested in buying my practice. And so I said to myself, David, this plan isn't working. And I remember going home to Jane, my wife, with a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. Sorry, she had them at home already. I did not bring them home to her. And I told her in all seriousness that we needed to sell our family home and to take the equity from that home and invest it back into the dental practice. And we had to go and rent a home for 5 years. And that's a tough decision to make, uprooting your family from its nest and renting, that uncertainty of renting. And that's what we did back in 1997. But then things changed. In the following 6 years after making that decision, we tripled the turnover of our dental practice. So we took it from $400,000 a year in 1996, 97 to $1.2 million a year in 2002. And so in that 6 years, we were able to then buy and build a brand new family home for ourselves, which was great. To be settled on the home front was great. And then in the following 5 years, from 2002 to 2007, we doubled the practice again. So we took it from 1.2 million to 2.4 million. And then in the following 4 years after that, from 2007 to 2011, we added another $1 million turnover to the practice. So it actually became a $3.4 million practice in 2011. And so after I left my practice, one of the options was that I wanted to give back to the profession, and I wanted to help dentists to be able to find that path that I was able to find, and to avoid the noise and the clutter and the distraction, which keeps you from getting to the end of that path successfully. And so since then, I've written an Amazon best-selling book, and I've spoken in front of live audience in the USA, in England, in Europe, in Asia, and in Australia as well. And Dr. Abraham K. John, who is from West Hartford in Connecticut in America, came to see me speak at a 2-day event that I put on in Manhattan. And he said this, he said, David Moffet is the master of customer service and defining what it takes to present yourself as a high quality professional establishment, one that valuable clients will appreciate and want to continue to patronize and give you their business. He said this was an excellent course. So let's talk now about what I'm going to share with you today, and that is some of the big mistakes that I made along my journey, so that you won't make them and you'll be able to get to your financial destination a lot quicker than I was able to. And at the end of today, if you're interested, you'll have the opportunity to organise a time to meet with me personally and discuss your particular needs, if that's something that you want to do, if that sounds good to you. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover how to build a well-structured appointment schedule that more than doubles your daily production. We're also going to talk about the key things that your front office people need to be saying, but they aren't, that will have all new patients excited and looking forward to their first appointment with you, and hoping that you're actually going to call them and bring that appointment forward. And we're also going to teach you how to plan out a blueprint for your practice, so that when the time comes to retire, you'll have a strong list of qualified buyers with cash beating a path to your door. So let's begin with how to build a well-structured appointment schedule that more than doubles your daily production. And why would you want to do that? The reason is simple. We all have the same amount of time each day. We all have 24 hours in the day. It's how we use that time that determines how successful we are. So let me ask you a question, those of you that are on this presentation. If you can type into the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. What's a good daily production goal for you? You know, when you get that chronological day sheet at the end of the day, and you look down and say, all right, this is how much dentistry we did today, this is how much we got paid, and it brings a smile to your face that, you know, you've hit the number that you wanted to hit. What is it for you? Some dentists will say $3,000 a day, others will say it's $5,000, some maybe 6 or 7. What's the number that you see at the end of the day and you say, oh, that's good, we've achieved what we wanted to achieve? Just type a number in there. And while you're thinking of that number, just let me tell you what my number was back in those years from 2007 to 2011. I was consistently doing $10,000 to $12,000 per day of daily production back in those years. Just me, not my hygienists, not including them, not including my associate dentists. It's just me. $10,000 to $12,000 per day. And I don't say that to brag. The reason I say that is that that number was easily achievable back then. and prices were lower for the cost of living. You know, houses were lower, food was lower, but we still were able to do that day in, day out, week in, week out. And now I find that I rarely meet a dentist who can do $10,000 per day. But it was achievable back then. So what was the difference? The answer is that dentists get paid to drill teeth. So when you stop drilling and you start doing things that dental assistants do or front office people do, and they're not drilling teeth while you're doing their job, that is simply poor time management. Delegation is the key. There's no point in having a dog and barking yourself. There's no point in having a DA and assembling matrix bands and assembling injections. There's no point in going to the front desk and instructing the receptionist where to put a patient. They should know that. They do know that. And it's an insult to actually go there and then start directing traffic as if they don't know what they're doing. Dentists need to make sure they are managing their time effectively. And when they're not, that's when their daily production drops down to, can you believe it, less than $3,000 per day. That's just silly. What did you go to university for? To earn, that's to collect that. And when you take your 40%, it's not much. The other thing that you need to be careful of is that the human body can only do so much. So there's no logical reason to be wearing it out excessively by doing unproductive things. You should be looking at everything you do as being financially purposeful and the best use of your time. So don't let the practice of dentistry wear your body out. As I've aged, I've seen dentists with bad shoulders, bad backs, bad necks, all from practicing dentistry with poor posture even. Yeah, and as I said, I personally had to retire early due to arthritis in my hands, and some say that it was from maybe too much fine motor work. Other dentists have said, David, it's from wearing a rubber glove. You basically had your hand pushing your thumbs out against a TheraBand for 40 years. Anyway, who knows what it is? I've got it, and it's not fun, and it doesn't run in my family. But anyway, it's what ended my career. So getting back to those numbers, how do you go about breaking through the glass ceiling? You know, that glass ceiling that you're imposed on yourself, whether you've imposed 3,000 and you can't hit it, 5,000 you can't hit it, 7,000 you can't hit it. How do you get through that glass ceiling? How do you stop from flatlining? Let me introduce you to Dr. Rachel Hall, who contacted me. Her practice had flatlined and she wasn't able to push through the $60,000 per month barrier. Now, she was working 20 days a month. She was working 5 days a week, 4 weeks in a month, 20 days in a month. So she was stuck on the $3,000 per day barrier. She was physically and mentally burnt out by the workload of trying to please everyone who was coming to see her and trying to be everything to every patient. And she felt totally confused by the problem of trying to work out a logical solution to her situation. Rachel's problems were these. She was trying to be everything to all patients. She believed that her patients only wanted to see her and nobody else. And she was so busy trying to do everything that she was missing out on the opportunities of being able to truly help her loyal patients. Now, let me show you how we handled this situation for Rachel. What we did first was that we delegated the dental cleanings for her patients to a dental hygienist. She didn't have one. And this allowed Rachel to create more time in her schedule so she could do more restorative dentistry for her patients. We also looked at Rachel's front office data, and we realized that there were way too many cancellations and rescheduled appointments happening in her day. And that was silly, that was pointless. And so the other thing that we did was that we also looked at Rachel's appointment schedule, and we worked out a better schedule template that allowed her to be more productive on a daily basis rather than just fill white spaces with names, which is how a lot of dental appointment books operate on. There's a space, there's a name, job done. It's not productive. So the takeaways that Rachel had were these. She realised that it's impossible to be everything to everybody. Rachel came to me with the belief that her patients only wanted to see her exclusively and would never see anybody else. And so she believed that to be true. She'd actually become a slave to her own dental practice. And in so doing, Rachel only achieved two things. She successfully achieved exhaustion and she successfully achieved failure. And those aren't two things that people really want to achieve when they own a dental practice. The thing Rachel realised was that when you can't see the wood for the trees, a helping hand is the most logical way to move forwards. The only way that Rachel was going to break through her self-imposed glass ceiling was to take a step back, put her self-pride to one side for a moment and get an honest second opinion from someone who was a dentist, who thought like a dentist and who had been a successful dentist. And once Rachel considered that independent expert opinion, she was able to clearly chart out a path to a more successful future. Rachel said this, she said, I was a client of David's and Jane's coaching for over 2 years, was able to more than double the turnover of my practice and develop my team to take a more active role. Dr. Rachel Hall. Let me share with you a short video with Rachel, which is here.
7 minutes a day between errands is all it takes to get the body of your dreams. Here's why. In the late 70s, Dr. Tom.
Okay, love the ads.
Yeah, I've been in practice for 9 years. I was getting a little frustrated with results and I knew something needed to change, but I wasn't quite sure what it was that I wanted. So I'd been looking for a coach and I came across your website and the information on there really sparked my interest. And so I wanted to work with you rather than somebody else. Yeah, I looked at quite a few coaches, but nobody really in Australia who was a dentist. And that was my criteria. I wanted somebody with good experience, like as a dentist, and wasn't coming at it from an outsider taking a business approach. Well, some of the biggest changes are increased turnover. So we've gone from doing average of about 50,000 a month to 100,000. I've increased the size of my team and the practice is starting to become more organised and structured. So I've been working with you for about 6 months. Initially, we saw immediate changes to our turnover where we went from 60,000 a month to 100,000 a month. And then in May, we smashed our target and went 120,000 for that month. I've took on a hygienist and employed extra staff. What's interesting is that we've done those increases without any extra marketing. In fact, I've done less marketing and we're getting more patients and higher productivity. Well, I think I've been ready to learn and ready to apply those things that I have learned. I haven't sat there and gone, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know. I've been very decisive and followed and listened closely and went, okay, let's give that a go and make it work. It's given me the focus to take the business in the direction that I want to and the confidence to go there. And also it sparked my imagination to have faith in myself again and really enjoy my dentistry and see it as a business and not me as a dentist doing dentistry. So where do I see my team going forward? I think the team have become more loyal and more passionate about the business and they're willing to learn and try new things. And it's allowed me to see the potential that they have and what roles we can put them into. So at the moment, we've got people doing fairly menial tasks who actually have the potential to be on the front desk, being treatment coordinators, and we can grow the team and grow the practice. When I first said to my team I was going to bring in an outside consultant, they were very mixed with their reactions. Some of them were a little hesitant and unsure. But once we started working with David, it just went from strength to strength, and they're really enjoying that, and they're enjoying having the input and having someone they can ask questions to and get feedback from. The results that I've achieved in my practice haven't just been simply, oh, we'll try this and try that. What we did is we looked down and we got to the nuts and bolts of the business, looked at some metrics, looked at a number of patients we were seeing and the way that we were doing things. And by adjusting those numbers, we could see that there was the potential to bring in a hygienist and the potential to grow the business further. In the 6 months that I've been working with David, I've learned some things about myself. I've learned that I'm actually a very good business owner, that I have a good business head. I'm quite entrepreneurial. I'm a good team leader, and that all I've got to do is just simply say, okay, how are we going to make that happen? Why are we going to make that happen? And then stick to it. The advice I'd give to somebody who's thinking of what can I do in my practice? How can I grow my business? Is to definitely get some outside help. That fresh pair of eyes just takes you away from the day-to-day grind of what you're doing and allows you to actually step back and look at what's going on in your business, and having someone to bounce those ideas off and hold your hand, so to speak, as you're going along has just been tremendous for me. So would I recommend David? Without a doubt, 100%. He's been absolutely fantastic. And initially, we've agreed to a 12-month contract, but I can't see that that's going to end anytime soon.
Thanks, Rachel. Where's the pause? Okay, got that. Just missed another ad. How good was that? Let's shrink that down. Yep. Right now, and we're back. Okay. The next thing that we were going to cover was the key things that your front office people need to be saying, but they aren't, that will have all new patients excited and looking forward to their first appointment with you and hoping you will bring that appointment forward. Now, I say this with 100% total clarity, because one of the things we do when we coach dental practices is that we listen to incoming phone calls at those dental practices. So we don't guess what people are saying on your phones. We know what people are saying on dental office phones. We know what questions are being asked, and we know what dental staff are saying and doing. And so when we coach, we help each individual team member improve on their deficiencies individually, and the team grows as a result. We don't lecture and say this is what you should do, but we have no idea. That'd be kind of like going to a piano teacher who told you how to play the piano, showed you how they play the piano, but didn't listen to how you were playing the piano. That's useless. Same with a golf lesson. Imagine going for a golf lesson and they don't watch how you swing a golf club. Pointless. You could buy a book and look at the book, but it doesn't tell you whether you're doing it right or wrong. It just tells you this is the way to do it. And it's not really as good as having somebody there holding your hand, doing it with you. So that's what we know. And we know that the first thing that front office people need to be saying is that they need to be friendly. When you call a dental office, people who call a dental office are often fearful, hesitant, embarrassed, and they want to know that the person answering the phone is on their side. And it's like calling a friend. I don't know who that was, but excuse me, I'll just turn that off. This is live. So they want to know that that they are calling a friend and they're talking with a friend, somebody who's going to listen, and somebody who's going to be empathetic, and somebody who's interested in them. The second thing that your front office people need to be doing is that realizing the fact that nobody calls a dental practice because they have a spare 5 minutes on their hands and they want to just find out a price about something. They call a dental practice because they actually have a dental problem. And when they call with a dental problem, they want to get a solution to that problem. So we need to be able to solve their problem so that we can then move forward. That's why they've run. They have a problem, they want a solution for the problem, and we're going to give them that solution. So the third thing that we need to do when we are friendly and we give them a solution to the problem is we also want to give them hope that it is the right solution, that they have rung the right place, that they are going to get treated politely and courteously and friendly, and they are going to get a result that they want. They need to have that hope. And so if we focus on those three things every time the phone rings, then we will book more people in. So let me talk about this. This is actually a phone call that we heard at a dental practice. We heard somebody ring up and they said, look, I need to get 5 implants done. I've been to another dentist, but I don't want to go back there. I've actually been recommended to come and see your dentist. When can I come in? And the dental receptionist said this. She said, don't have an appointment available for 8 weeks. That was how the conversation went. Now, let me ask you this. What did that caller say, and what would you do if that was your practice? What could you do? And let me just frame this up. What do you know that is going to happen at your dental practice in the next 48 to 72 hours that will determine how you could have handled that phone call better? The answer is that we all know that in the next 48 to 72 hours at a dental practice, somebody's going to ring and want to change an appointment. That's just how things go. People have emergencies that they need to attend to, and the dentistry gets pushed to the side. So let me just go back to what did that caller say. That caller actually said, I'm calling because I've got $25,000 in my bank account and I want to put that $25,000 into your dentist's bank account. That's what they said. I know I've got 5 implants to get done. I want to get them done at your practice. And so if somebody called your practice and said that they've got $25,000 to put in your dentist's bank account, would you say, can't see you for 8 weeks? Like, who wins in that situation? Caller doesn't win. Practice doesn't win. Maybe the ego of the receptionist does. I've done my job, can't get them in. But financially, it's been about as popular as a Led Zeppelin. It's gone down quickly, hasn't it? It's gone. And in fact, they didn't even get the caller's name, their phone number, what they needed the implants for, nothing. So here's what should have happened. Somebody rings up and says, look, I need 5 implants. I want to come and see your dentist. You say, look, Mrs. Smith, my first available appointment is actually Friday afternoon next week at 2:30. I'm going to pop you in there. But here's what I'm going to do. If I get a change in my schedule between now and Friday week, I'm actually going to call you and bring your appointment forward. Is that okay? So what we've done is we've actually parked Mrs. Smith in our Friday afternoon emergency spot next week, knowing full well that we're going to get a cancellation between now and then. We're not telling Mrs. Smith, oh, people cancel all the time. I've heard that said on the phone. Oh, look, people cancel all the time. I can ring you and get you in sooner when that happens. That's not the way to say it. You're going to call Mrs. Smith and you're going to say, so what happens is that when you do get that reschedule, you call Mrs. Smith and you say, hey, Mrs. Smith, you know how I've got you in next Friday to see Dr. Moffet for those, talk about those implants. We've had a change in his books and I can get you in on Monday at 10 o'clock. Is that okay? Because we just had Monday 10 o'clock reschedule. And so we've had a win-win-win situation there in that situation. But sometimes some of the stuff we hear on the phone is like, do they actually realize that they're actually turning people away? They're actually turning people off with their behavior and what they say. They're not being friendly, they're not giving them hope, and they're not solving problems. Ask yourself this question. Did anybody give you a plan when you went to dental school? And when I say a plan, did they give you a 40-year plan for your career? One of my clients believed that all her dental degree did was prepare her to go and work for the State Department of Health in one of their clinics. That's all she got. And, you know, usually it's, here's your degree, go and get yourself a job, see what you can learn from the person who has to tolerate teaching you more about dentistry that we didn't teach you at the university. It's not the way to do it. Let me introduce you to Dr. Lacey Andreotta from Southern Dental Care in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans in America. Yeah, New Orleans in America. Now, although Lacey was young, she went and bought a dental practice because she thought it was actually the right thing for her to do. What she found was that she was seeing more than 60 patients a day, and she thought to herself, there's got to be a better way than this. She said, I can't go my whole life doing this. And she knew that the practice that she had was not doing things efficiently and it wasn't doing things effectively. And so Lacey sought out the guidance from someone with a proven track record. What she didn't do was she didn't go and ask her mates. She didn't go and ask her family. Her mates didn't have any experience. Her family weren't dentists. She thought the best thing to do was talk to somebody with a proven track record. Here's the problems that Lacey was having. She was trying to see too many patients on questionable plans who didn't value the service that she was trying to provide for them. She also had never had it explained to her the fact that being busy and being profitable were not one and the same thing. And she was totally confusing activity and accomplishment. You know, she was busy, but she wasn't making any money and she was burning herself out. And she realized that she needed guidance in extricating her office from all the unproductive plans that it was doing when she bought the practice. And at the same time, she wanted to grow the fee-for-service side of her practice to replace those plans and, you know, the time that those plans were taking. So let me show you how we handled this situation. What we did was we created a realistic plan for Lacey with a start date and an end date. Let me show you how that turned out. As I said, Lacey identified the programs that were costing her valuable time and money, and then she implemented a stage schedule for withdrawing from those costly programs, 1 or 2 at a time. And it was interesting because when Lacey told her lab that she was leaving a plan because she was actually losing money on that plan, the lab offered to drop its prices by 50% right there, which tells you that the lab was making money, way too much money, and Lacey was losing money when she was making those dentures. At the same time, Lacey had her dental office focus on perfecting how to deliver the best 5-star world-class dental customer service to all her patients. We coach Lacey's practice step by step on how to implement the ultimate patient experience with every patient right there in her dental practice. And so Lacey's takeaways were these. She understood that to continue along the same path that she had been traveling was definitely not the answer. You know, the definition of insanity is continually doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It just doesn't happen. You'll just always end up getting the same result. If you keep doing what you're always doing, you'll keep getting what you always got. You've got to change what you're doing to get a different result. Lacey knew there had to be a better way of doing things and that she needed to find that way. And she knew that the quickest way to get out of the hole that she was digging for herself was to seek the help of someone who had already built a successful dental practice based on those same ideals that she was aspiring to. Lacey worked out that the best way to achieve the results that she wanted to achieve in the shortest amount of time was to work with someone who had already done what she was wanting to do and had already helped other dentists do what she was wanting to do. Lacey said this, she said, I worked with David and Jane, and in the first 12 months, we increased our profits by over $200,000 for the year. She said, I found David and Jane to both be bottomless pits of customer service information. They always had new pearls on how to deliver wow service. Let's hear a few words from Dr. Lacey Andreotta.
I am Dr. Lacey Andreotta. and I own this practice, Southern Dental Care, here in Marrero, Louisiana, which is just outside of New Orleans. I've owned the practice since 2014, and I graduated dental school in 2013. The obstacle that would have prevented me from hiring David to help me would have been cost. I was concerned that I couldn't afford it initially. As a result of hiring David, I found that productions and collections increased with a lowering in the amount of patients that I was having to see. So I was seeing about 1/3 of the amount of patients I was seeing previously with the same production and collections, leading to about a 20% higher profit. Production stayed at $100,000 a month over the year, but as I said, I was seeing about 1/3 of the number of patients. Right. So when I started with David, I was seeing between 50 and 60 patients on treatment side, or on the whole schedule for the day. Now I see about 20 to 25 patients a day with $100,000 production, which means to me that I have much more time to give much better quality care, to build better relationships with my patients, and to have the more sort of practice that I want. It does mean less stress. There's a lot less stress when I'm only treating 20 to 25 patients a day versus worrying if patients are waiting too long, or if they're waiting in the waiting room because I'm not quickly enough, or a procedure took longer. My staff is less stressed. My staff is happier, which makes me happier. Patients feel more fulfilled, therefore we feel more fulfilled. It's a happier place to work. The specific feature I liked most about working with David was the notebooks that we got to go through once a month. So I would do a half-day training with my staff to go through the videos with the notebooks, so that it was like CE inside the office. So they would understand about these phone calls that I was making with David. They would understand where I was coming from, and it wasn't just me coming in saying we're going to change this, this, and this. They were seeing the whole presentation, and they were seeing the whole picture. A couple other things that we got from working with David was definitely happier staff, was a more productive schedule, a much more profit in the bank account. My husband likes me more because I'm happier, and he doesn't have to hear quite as much complaining when I come home in the evening. I would absolutely recommend working with David. I recommend him to people all the time when I hear about their practice problems. For me personally, he made me more assertive. He made me believe in the decisions that I was making. Working in a practice alone is a bit isolating. You make decisions and you hope that they work. Having someone to soundboard those decisions off of and go, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea, or I don't know about that one, maybe we can tweak it and do this instead, leads to much less failure and much more success in a quicker amount of time. I guess, like I said, I constantly refer people to David because I am a better practitioner, I'm a better business owner, I'm a better employer because of working with him over the last year. I learned much more than I ever anticipated in 1 year of work. Would I recommend David Moffet? I do it all the time. Almost every dentist I see that's having practice trouble, I say you really need to talk to David Moffet.
Hey, thanks, Lacey. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. I think. Where are we? Here. Next slide. There we go. And there. So the third thing that we talked about, or that we're going to talk about, is how to plan out a blueprint for your practice so that when the time comes to retire, you'll have a strong list of qualified buyers with cash beating a path to your door. Remember that your practice is a strong asset, and making it a desirable asset for someone to purchase is key in getting the best value. So you've got to keep your practice running like a well-oiled machine. Keep it running like a Swiss watch. Don't let it run down and then try and bandage it up. Remember that a quick sale is a good sale, and a long sale process is painful. When it's time to sell, you want to move quickly, have a clear vision and understand exactly what you want from the sale, because there's a lot of things that need to be done after you hang up the drills, and you want to be ready for that next big adventure. So how do we go about preparing our practice for the day that we're ready to retire? Let me tell you about Dr. Laura Damas in Queensland from Park Avenue Dentistry. Now, Laura had tried various ways to grow her practice, some with less than optimal results. She was enjoying her dentistry, but she felt that her practice should be more profitable and wasn't sure what to do. So Laura did this. She looked outside the box to find someone with a proven track record in doing what she was trying to achieve. Laura knew that straight away, Laura knew that burning opportunity on the front office phones was not good business practice. She wanted to help her front office team to improve their new patient appointment numbers. She also realized that she needed a blueprint plan. She needed a blueprint plan. Try saying that quickly. For consistently achieving a successful and productive daily appointment schedule template that would dramatically increase her practice profitability. Laura knew that her days should be more productive. She just wasn't sure how to structure those days, and she wasn't sure how to consistently achieve that desired production day in and day out, week in and week out. Laura knew she also needed assistance in building a dental practice that was going to be a desirable purchase for a number of potential purchasers when the time was right, when it was time for Laura to sell. So why is this information so valuable? Let me tell you what happened for Laura. We helped Laura's team to develop laser focus with their customer service skills, which immediately impacted on the new patient phone conversion numbers. Remember, increasing new patient phone inquiry conversions into made and kept appointments is free money. Laura realized that she'd already paid for the marketing that was making the phone ring. She knew that improving her new patient conversions would build out her appointment schedule. And we also helped Laura create daily and weekly appointment schedule template frameworks for her practitioners to work to that replace disorganization with profitable structure. We helped Laura as well to differentiate her practice expenses into the necessary as well as the optional, and this dramatically improves her bottom line and her take-home profit. Here's Laura's takeaways. The increase in new patient numbers allowed Laura to really positively solidify her dental practice production growth. The structured organization of Laura's appointment schedule dramatically increased her daily production and her hourly rate, as well as the same increases for her associates' daily productions and their hourly rates as well. And creating a very healthy annual profit for the practice has now put Laura in the box seat whenever she decides that it is time for her to retire. Here's what Laura said. She said, "Our bottom line has increased from week one. We pay all our bills early, and I've increased my super by heaps. It can never go backwards as it has become the new norm." Dr. Laura Damas from Burleigh Heads in Queensland. So far you've discovered this. You've discovered that the easiest way to increase your new patient appointment numbers is to simply improve the language being used by those team members who answer the dental office phones, and not looking at how the phones is answered and not listening to what's being said on your phones is simply burning money. Like I said, when we listen to a new client's actual phone recordings, we hear so much wastage. Coaching teams on using better language helps our clients to gather so much low-hanging fruit in their practice. It's not funny. The results, truly amazing. We helped a practice in Western Australia add $80,000 a month to its productions and collections in 5 months, just from listening to the phones. $80,000, that's $1 million a year we added to that practice. Now, 5 chairs in that practice, so wasn't that big a deal, but $80,000 a month. That's an extra $1 million. That's $1 million they weren't doing. Remember that a well-structured appointment schedule template is the one thing that differentiates whether a dentist produces $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 worth of dentistry each day. We all have the same number of hours in every day, so how we use those hours determines how productive we are. It's that simple. And remember that your dental practice is a significant asset, so maximizing your business's annual profitability makes it dramatically more attractive to potential purchasers. And selling a dental practice should be a life-changing moment. It's the realization of a business life well spent. Nothing upsets me more than when an older dentist contacts me and wants to tart up his practice for a quick sale to some unsuspecting buyer. To me, that's unethical, it's immoral, and I won't do that. It doesn't have to be that way. I want you to understand this. This is a new way that you can gain a competitive advantage now, and that carries on and becomes your legacy when you sell the practice. You can successfully grow your dental practice without working longer hours. You can have an endless stream of new patients ready to begin treatment with you immediately and stay, pay and refer more people just like them. And you can create a blueprint for your practice so that when the time comes to retire, you'll have a strong list of qualified buyers with cash beating a path to your door. So let me ask you this question. How many of you have a better understanding of how to grow a more successful dental practice? And while you're answering that question, let me ask you another one. How many of you know that having a more profitable dental practice now will truly allow you to be able to determine where you live, where you send your children to school, and what you do right now, as well as determine when you retire, where you retire to, and all those things that you really want to do in that retirement? Again, if you're realizing that the answer to this question and the previous question is yes, just type yes into the chat box now. So if that's what you want to do, let me tell you this, there are 3 things that you could do. If you want to have a successful practice, there's 3 things that you could do. The first thing is you could do nothing and hope that things change. And we all know that hope is a very poor business strategy. And it doesn't work. Hoping doesn't work. The second thing you could do is you could try and figure things out on your own. And from experience, personal experience, as well as watching others, I know that this is the slow, painful way. And quite frankly, it's more expensive. It's more expensive because it costs you time in mistakes, but it costs you money in mistakes, but it also costs you time. And you can't get your time back. And so the third thing is that you can work with someone who's already done this and has been getting results for other dentists just like you for the past 11 or 12 years. But since you're watching this training now, my guess is that you want to avoid the pain of trial and error, and you also want to avoid the pain of doing nothing, and you want to get results quickly that you can see in your bank account now. So let me share with you what I have for you. Remember I said I had an offer for you? I want to spend the next 5 minutes going over a very special offer that I have for you today. Does that sound good to you? Because here's what I have. It's called the Get More Patients Blueprint Session. What you get is this. You get a 20-minute meeting with me either at my office in the country, I'm an hour and a half out of Sydney, or we can do it via Zoom. That's a photo of part of my property. Yeah, we raised some beef cattle. During our time together, we're going to, during that 20 minutes, we're going to deep dive into looking at exactly where your dental practice is right now. And we're going to map out a step-by-step program that you can take back to your office and begin implementing the very next day so that you can make a start on those necessary steps needed to dramatically improve your practice on a permanently sustainable trajectory. At the end of our meeting, you're going to know exactly what key metrics are for your practice. These are the key metrics that you should always be measuring, always, that give an accurate indicator of exactly where your practice is at any given moment in time. And based upon those key metrics, we're going to develop a strategic 3-point plan specific for your practice to implement immediately, which is going to help you move your practice from where you are right now to where you actually need it to be and where you want it to be. So here's what you get. In addition to the blueprint session, you'll also receive the entire blueprint session recorded via video. This is a recording which is going to allow you to re-listen to every moment of our time together. And you can just play it back and play it back as many times as you need to. Re-listen to it as many times as you want. Plus, with your blueprint session and your recording, you'll also receive a written summary of the action steps that you need to take to successfully grow your dental practice. It's a one-page action plan showing you all the steps you need to take to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So here's what you get. You get the 20-minute meeting with me at my office or via Zoom. You get the entire blueprint session recorded via video, and you also get the one-page action plan showing you all the steps you need to take to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Now, if I were to charge for that, the value would be $3,600 plus GST if you're in Australia, but I'm not going to charge. It's free. It's free. So all you need to do to reserve a time is go to my calendar, take a photo with your camera on your phone of this QR code, and that should take you to my calendar where you can book a time to do the 20-minute call with me. Or if you're old school, you might like to click on the green button on your computer screen, and that should also take you to my calendar. Or if you want to open up a new browser window in your computer, you can type in bookyourchatwithdavid.com, and that'll take you to my calendar. Or you can go to the chat section on the GoToWebinar control panel, and I've just put in the link there, so you can click on the link and it'll take you to my calendar as well. And that way you can organize that 20-minute time to get the ball rolling. It's one of those questions though that people sometimes have in the back of their mind. They say, why are you making this special offer? And I guess since you're watching this, it shows me that you're serious about getting more new patients and you're serious about growing your dental practice. So if this is what you want, like I said before, there are 3 things that you could do. You could do nothing and hope that things change, and that never works. You could try and figure things out on your own. And from experience, I know that that's the slow, painful way, and quite frankly, is more expensive. And you can work with someone who's already done this and has been getting results for other dentists just like you for the past 11 or 12 years. But again, since you're still watching now and you're interested in growing your practice, my guess is that you want to avoid the pain of trial and error, and you want to avoid the pain of doing nothing, and you want to get those results that you can see in your bank account right now. So as I mentioned, I'm passionate about helping dentists who really want to impact more patients' lives positively, as well as change their own lives. And if we're a good fit for each other, after our conversation, we can talk about whether or not you want to become a client of mine or not. And simply, that's a choice for you. There's no obligation. So what you get is, you get this. You get the 20-minute meeting with me at my office or via Zoom. You get the entire blueprint session recorded via video, the one-page action plan with all the steps that you need to take your practice to where you want to be. Total value $3,600. You know that it's going to be free. All you have to do is scan the QR code, take you to my calendar, book yourself a time with me, find a time that works for you, and we'll have a chat about what's going on at your practice. You get the recording, you get the one-page action plan. It's entirely up to you. Now, remember, now is the time to take care of growing your practice. Instead of waiting until the corporates take a stranglehold of the dental marketplace, like they're doing in some parts of America, and they start taking all your patients of your practice. When you take care of this now, you'll be able to seriously grow your practice immediately, as well as add long-term value to your practice, so that when the time comes, you'll be able to sell it for what it's truly worth and retire to the lifestyle of your dreams. When you take care of this now, you'll be able to experience your golden years in style without ever worrying about running out of money. You'll be able to travel, you'll be able to eat out, and you'll be able to help your children and your grandchildren live better lives. I'm ready to start helping you now. I'm ready to get started now. I'm ready to help you get started now at no cost or obligation. So let's get started. Schedule now and get the 20-minute meeting with me, the entire blueprint session recorded via video, the one-page action plan with all the steps you need to take to take your practice from where you are to where you want to be. $3,600 in value. It's free. All you need to do is scan the QR code, go to bookyourchatwithdavid.com, look at my calendar, find a time that works for you, and let's have that discussion about what your practice needs. Thank you to those of you who have been on this presentation today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your interest in growing your practice, and I'm here to help, and I'm happy to help. It's what I really enjoy, is doing those things. As Dr. Lacey said, I've become a better person, I've become a better practitioner, give you clarity about what you need to do rather than trial and error. Bookyourchatwithdavid.com, scan the QR code. Thank you to those who have made an appointment already. I've got my inbox up, I see a couple of you there, so I appreciate that. And I look forward to the discussions. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, if it's Thursday as it is here in Australia, or if you're in the United States and or you're watching a replay, could be another day again. Enjoy your day, and thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.